Larry Pratt is joining us. He's Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. Larry, great to talk to you. I want to talk about your piece about George Zimmerman being charged with second-degree murder in the wake of a race-baiting campaign. Talk about the race-baiting campaign, but specifically, how do you think it affected the charges we're seeing against George Zimmerman?
Well, I think the folks that make a living out of race hustling, like so-called Reverend Al Sharpton and others, had an impact on the prosecutor's decision. I think the special prosecutor, was very mistaken in what she decided to do, but she may have inadvertently saved Zimmerman's life because there was so much hatred being put out by the race baiters that Zimmerman rightly was in hiding. He had made himself available to the police. He'd been in contact with them and others from wherever he was hiding, but at least now it's not likely anybody's going to be able to penetrate the police system and get into the jail and take him out. Now, he could get bail on Friday, tomorrow of this week, and if that were to happen, then the poor guy's probably going to have to go back into hiding, which means he hasn't been able to have a gainful employment for quite some time. And I just hope that somehow he's going to be able to sustain himself.
Well, let's take this piece by piece. So first, I'm no fan of Al Sharpton's, and on this program I've made very clear over the years why I don't like Al Sharpton being kind of this self-appointed arbiter on race relations. Let's put that aside for a second, though.
And who probably has at least one death on his hands because his race baiting up in Crown Heights led to a riot that killed a Jewish schoolboy on his way home from school.
Okay, but putting that aside for a second, let's assume you're right that so-called race baiting affected these charges. Does that have any bearing on George Zimmerman's guilt, which is going to be determined in theory in a trial? Does it have any bearing at all on whether George Zimmerman is guilty of second-degree murder or not of having killed Trayvon Martin?
Legally, no, but practically it very well could. What I'm hopeful of is that a judge tomorrow will look at this affidavit and say, you don't have any probable cause listed in here. You've got statements made that are simply not correct. You've got other statements made that are dubious at best. That was a very Nifong-like affidavit that was filled out by this prosecutor, Nifong being the prosecutor that now has had to resign in infamy because of his false prosecution of the 4 lacrosse players at Duke University.
Okay, but why not? I mean, you're right. We are going to have that hearing. Probable cause, you only have to show that there's at least some preponderance of evidence, 51%, not beyond a reasonable doubt that we do have a reason to have charges here.
Well, for instance, the prosecutor listed that Zimmerman had profiled Martin. There is absolutely no substantiation for that statement. It is probably false because Zimmerman not only tutored black kids on weekends, but was very energetically defended by one of his several black friends.
Well, but hold on a second, Larry. We have to talk about that. You're referring to Joe Oliver, I assume. And there's a lot of questions about Joe Oliver's involvement here. And the I have black friends and tutored black kids defense, we heard it from Mel Gibson. We've heard it all over. It's a ridiculous thing to really base a case about someone's entire racial outlook saying, hey, I have black friends, I have Jewish friends. We can't go to that level, can we?
But by the same token, it makes it less believable to make an unsubstantiated assertion that Zimmerman had profiled Martin. That's just racially profiled Martin, is what the prosecutor had said. So the prosecutor has put herself into, I think, a very difficult position.
So, but what evidence can you cite that suggests this was self-defense?
2 witnesses saw Martin straddling Zimmerman on his back, pounding away at his face and then jamming his head into the concrete. And in fact, that would explain why Zimmerman said he had moved scrunched over from where he was getting banged on the concrete
Okay,
to the grass, and that would have put
which
the
witnesses are those?
one was called John, another is totally unidentified, but is one of the 6 that is in the police report.
Okay, so we have John and we have an unidentified witness, and counter to that, we have the phone call with Trayvon Martin's friend or girlfriend, and we also have this other woman whose name I apologize, I'm forgetting. It's a blonde woman who's been on television saying she was hearing Trayvon Martin yelling "help, help," and then heard a gunshot, and then the yelling stopped. So it seems like we have two, again, we're talking about probable cause, 51%, not beyond a reasonable doubt. You've cited 2 pieces of so-called evidence, and I've cited 2. So what do we really have? We don't have
what
something.
we have is a case that is not that should not have been brought for second-degree murder, because that involves some kind of intentionality, some kind of desire to ahead of time to commit murder. And whatever happened evidently happened at the spur of the moment, and the most that should have been brought was manslaughter. So I'm just
Larry,
wondering if maybe the prosecutor wanted to have the case thrown out.
According to my reading of Florida law, you're referring to a plan ahead of time or premeditation, which is not really the standard for second-degree murder. Second-degree murder has 3 pieces. Number one,
not so much premeditation, but as some kind of desire.
That's not in the law,
to
though.
commit murder.
It's just not in the law.
Well, it's not a premeditation, which would be first degree,
right?
But it is some kind of intentionality, and that's going to be very difficult, I think, for the, some sort of intentionality ahead of the act itself. And I don't think the prosecutor is going to be able to prove that.
Well, I agree
at least
with
not
you.
from the evidence that we've had so far.
I agree with you that this is not going to be a slam dunk for the prosecution. Let me, in the last minute or 2 we have left here, I want to really get to what I think is at the crux of this. You're executive director of Gun Owners of America. We've also seen the NRA come out and make a number of statements about this case. What I think is really at the root of this is that groups like yours and the NRA are very, very scared that people are going to realize Florida gun control laws, 3 out of 100 according to the Brady campaign, are too loose, because we really can make the case that if George Zimmerman didn't have a gun, Trayvon Martin would probably be alive right now.
And George Zimmerman arguably might be dead by now.
How would Trayvon Martin have killed
seen,
him? How would Trayvon Martin
the,
have killed George Zimmerman?
By banging his head continually on the pavement.
That's a hard case to make, Larry.
It's a hard pavement as well.
I don't think
and
so.
And he had a couple of gashes on the back of his head, which ABC did their best to obscure. The fact is that since the law has been put on the books, the homicide rate has declined some 16%.
However, Larry, I can't let you get by with that. The homicide rate overall has declined, as has crime nationwide. But justifiable homicides in Florida have tripled since Stand Your Ground was put in place. So you're deceiving there.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's probably why the homicide rate overall has declined more than the national rate, by the way. That's a good thing that perpetrators are being taken out of the gene pool. So the increase in justifiable homicide is wonderful. We should celebrate that.
My last question, I guess, would be, I would just want to ask you very directly, just to pick one of the Florida gun law stipulations that's in there. Do you think it's a good thing to have no mandatory theft reporting of guns in Florida? Are you comfortable with that? Is that a good idea?
Absolutely.
Tell me why.
The government has no business knowing what guns I have or don't have. They have no constitutional authority. They only do bad things when they know about what guns I have or may not have.
And do you think that no child safety locks being required, is that a good thing in Florida?
Yes, it is. It's a good thing, because all they do is encumber self-defense. The worst thing that can happen to you is to have to fumble with a lock or a combination when you're under assault. That you are at about 50% capacity when your adrenaline is pumping like that, and that's only going to further delay your ability to get at your self-defense that you need if you have it encumbered with a lock.
All right. Well, Larry, I think that it's a good conversation. We're going to have to agree to disagree. I think your last 2 answers about those Florida gun laws or lack of restrictions there are very telling as far as the context where we should be analyzing your position.
And the fact that you would even ask the question is also very telling. So I guess we do agree to disagree.
We certainly do. We've been speaking with Larry Pratt, Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
You bet. Good to be with you.